trying to refresh the Facebook page. I'm like, why isn't it showing up yet? That's weird. It's taking a while.
That's funny that you started it off with like, hey, everybody, I'm dumb. You can dunk on me because I did something dumb in school. And then meanwhile, the entirety while you're giving that little spiel, not even live, not even broadcasting. So
that's
now we can officially say that Kyle is dumb.
That's a dumb.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's true. But what I was saying, we were talking about the Ron Johnson senator from Wisconsin about how they're just holding up the COVID relief bill because they're making the clerks read the entire 600 pages, like word for word. What?
When are they going to read it?
It's a good question.
I think they're doing it right now.
Or is it underway?
Oh,
Yeah.
Why is this not? Why is this not in a box on the top of our?
I think like an hour or so ago, they said they had gotten to like page 70 something, like a couple hours into it. Because I got through the vote pretty quickly to get it going, so they could just start reading off.
Well, it's full of Nancy Pelosi fucking pet
reading it. Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Wisconsin woman's obituary asked for donations to Ron Johnson's 2022 opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
welcome to fucking Wisconsin.
Right. Hello, Wisconsin. Do you see that they had to have like heightened security and shit at the Capitol today because of I didn't know this, that from like 73 to 93, inauguration was on March 4th.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And that's why all the QAnon theories were that there was going to be a military coup today and Trump was going to be back in the White House. And
well,
really, how does that work?
Well, they were spot on.
Well,
that's like with the Capitol takeover. Like, so you go in and you people hold Congress hostage. That just means that Trump's now that the election's just nullified. Like, no, like that's not. We just got to stop this process from happening, and then Joe Biden just doesn't get to be president anymore. Just what goes on in some of these people's minds to think that Trump just military coup is going to come in, and like what makes you believe that at all?
Well, I mean, I think we could probably ask that question about any of the QAnon. Like,
hey, don't start. They have somebody inside the government telling them what's bullshit and what's not.
I mean, it's just like, how haven't you gotten off of like the Trump thing though at this point?
Right.
Like it just has to be someone like, I don't know, someone else, because he's already let himself be removed. He's already done. Like he's not even really running that much of like shadow kind of mere government criticizing everything that Biden does every other day.
Right.
Seems that he's trying to navigate his own legal issues in various courts and whatnot. So I don't know.
Well,
but I mean, we just saw everybody say pretty much that, if he's running in 2024, that they're going to support him. So
how I would really like somebody in the media to call McConnell out for the fact that on the day of the impeachment vote, he basically said that Trump was behind inciting a takeover of the government, and no more than a week later said that he would support said candidate again. So,
well, he's already looking for a success. He's already looking to handpick a successor.
I don't know how these things are not fucking brought up in broad daylight and just, but I don't know. Probably because people don't care.
So, Manny Raju tweeted 6 minutes ago. He said that he popped into the chamber as the clerks are reading the bill, and he said that Ron Johnson's the only senator sitting there. besides the presiding officer. Otherwise, what purpose does it serve? I mean, obviously, it's just slow it all up. Apparently, he's going to introduce a bunch of amendments too after they read it to slow it up even more.
What a nerd.
Literally doing whatever he can to make sure that money doesn't get into the hands of people that actually deserve that money. But put another tax cut on the table, or we're all good.
Oh yeah, I mean they're gonna try and make sure the recovery is as bad as possible. So that's just going to be coming. So
God, I hate people.
Oh my gosh. So you saw the whole Joe Biden Neanderthal comment thing?
No.
Yeah, what on yeah.
He essentially, let me pull it up here.
Is it a basket of Neanderthals?
It was essentially in reference to the Texas governor Abbott on lifting the mask sanctions. Biden said that it's Neanderthal thinking. But Marsha Blackburn was on Fox Business today, and this was her quote. Neanderthals are hunter-gatherers. They're protectors of their family. They're resilient. They're resourceful. They tend to their own. So I think Joe Biden needs to rethink what he is saying. She's she's just embracing okay, fine. I'm a Neanderthal then. That's, I'm proud of that, even though they died off because they were stupid. But
yeah, I'm not capable of higher thinking. So yeah, if that's what you want to call me, then I gladly wear that title with pride.
I mean,
I swear we live in a fucking world of just dumb fucking people. Oh my God.
I mean, it's not even being called that's not even that whatever of a burn. They're that's not even that great of an own. But then to engage it on actually, Neanderthals are that just seems so, I don't know, such an odd thing to try and do.
I saw there was some case in front of the Supreme Court the other day about voting.
Oh yes, this is the quote of the century.
I can't find the exact quote, but essentially Amy Coney Barrett asked why is the RNC part of this lawsuit? And whoever was arguing on behalf of the RNC or the Republicans or whatever basically was I don't know, I don't have the exact quote, but he essentially said along the lines of, yeah, this is going to put us at a disadvantage with Democrats, disenfranchising voters. But it's and the thing I saw was yep, that's the Republicans saying the quiet part out loud again. I don't get it.
Well, it seems like every state legislature is introducing some sort of legislation to limit the amount of absentee voting and how they're just outright restricting votings. Iowa is moving forward with a bill. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Georgia is trying to move forward with a voting restriction, or at least limiting, how mail-in ballots will be counted on and around election day. So, it was kind of predictable that right once, we actually have a system that worked fairly well this past election on mail-in voting and early voting and all sorts of stuff like that, things that were necessary, justified under the guise of the pandemic, but there's no reason that those couldn't exist under every other election for just because it makes voting easier. But not only are Republicans fighting that in the Supreme Court, but state legislatures everywhere seem to be trying to crack down on that, of course.
But I don't understand how a party in the greatest Golden City democracy ever, a party is literally saying, hey, if we allow people to vote, we're going to lose.
Sorry.
Well,
reading something.
What'd you say?
I was reading something else. Sorry.
What'd you
Congress
say?
is just one of those institutions that's always has a really low popularity, and there's a reason for that. So
Yeah.
But simultaneously, re-election rates are, always really high. So there's always that kind of disconnect that people are unhappy with what Congress is doing, yet continue to send the same people back there. It's kind of a interesting little dynamic that exists within our political system that I don't know. You would think that would be something that would be wanting to at least address that kind of disconnect, but also things that are relatively popular seem to hit major hurdles in the process of becoming actual law. I think the minimum wage is kind of showing that it's a bit of a casualty and a system that isn't working very well right now, and we're seeing a lot of signs of frustration as a result of that, I think.
Yeah. No.
Did you guys see this story about the security official at the Afghan embassy?
Mm-mm.
He was removed from his spot. So he was the top State Department diplomatic security official in Afghanistan. Apparently, some of his Facebook posts came to light. It was this was the quote that got him removed from his post. He was sent back to DC after the election. He posted, "Sad day in American history, a fraudulent election that ushered in a senile idiot and a woman that claims to be black, but she's not. You're witnessing the death of America as we know it, and just stand by as all of our freedoms are eroded." My God.
Oh, man.
Claims to be black, but she's not. Like,
yeah, there's there's a good amount to unpack there. That's in the State Department too, huh?
Yeah.
That's kind of troubling, I guess, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey,
Not too surprising given some, like, I don't know, some of the people who are able to filter their way into that administration.
we want to promote democracy throughout the world. But hey, our elections,
Right. Yeah.
bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, that's always kind of been the trouble with that, I don't know, line of thinking that of all the democracies in the world, we have some of the most paltry voter turnout. So,
Right.
How about this one? Former Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner wrote a $250,000 check to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis after the gated Florida Keys complex where Rauner now lives got vaccines before the rest of Florida.
Yep.
It's beautiful that it's just so out front like that.
Their voters don't care. This is the end of all this discussion, what bullshit the GOP comes up with next. Their voters don't care.
Well, it was interesting because someone was talking about like the governors of like all of the big states are like between Texas and then New York and then Florida and then California, like all of them have had kind of, I don't know, Newsom is the only one that's been kind of like, I guess Newsom and DeSantis have been scandal free up to this point, but like Abbott is now like, oh yeah, yep, COVID's done here. We don't need masks anymore. And Cuomo's obviously doing all the shit that he's been up to. So I mean, it's tough. It's tough to look around now and see like, oh yeah, there's someone who's really doing a good job at the top of their, state governments at this moment. Unfortunately,
Pritzker.
I mean, as sad as that is to say, probably.
Well, I mean, just take a little freaking drive in rural town, Illinois. And see those stupid ass freaking Pritzker sucks road sign.
Did where was it at? I just saw it up here. The apparently investigators are looking into records of communication between members of Congress and rioters on the Capitol. Could be.
Yeah, I saw something about that.
Not entirely surprising, but
yeah, I mean, you knew that was gonna be
right
coming at some point, and now all of the people that care about the national security state are kicking and screaming, but when they had the majorities to do something about stuff like that, they never took advantage of utilizing their oversight powers of reining in, Of
course not.
Why not?
Oh, did you guys see this one too? That apparently I don't know which inspector general it was, but inspector general, I would assume for the Department of Transportation, had recommended that Elaine Chao be investigated by like a legal investigation, and the Trump administration said, the DOD or DOJ said, no, we're not going to look into it. I guess she was like using DOT resources for personal errands, family business, blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Who's Elaine Chao married to again?
Mitch McConnell.
Wow, shocker.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking.
Well, like the Intercept reported today that McConnell has at least leaked, or filtered through a list of handpicked successors, and is looking to take away, the nomination powers of the state senator away from the governor, who is a Democrat, and put it in the hands of the legislature, where the GOP have a supermajority. Apparently Mitch McConnell is spearheading that legislation through the Kentucky legislature. So
wait a minute.
So we may see McConnell done sooner than later. So that's just what I saw at what was being reported on, that had a couple Republican aides had confirmed to the Intercept that a list of, I can't remember the names of the people on the list, but they were pretty much all Kentucky state politicians, of people that are essentially approved to be, when I'm done here, you're going to select one of these guys, essentially, kind of thing. So something to, I don't know, keep in mind or on the back burner for what we think McConnell is pinned down on, because he could have a lot of flexibility if he's just, hey, I'm not running, and I'm going to hand it over to some hand-picked guy who is going to say he's got a brand new record, but is going to vote exactly like I would.
So
why would he be worried about that? I mean, why wouldn't he just serve the six-year term? I mean, it's not like Kentucky's going to elect a Democratic senator.
Well, that's what I'm curious about, what this investigation could potentially turn up if it goes through.
So do I understand this correctly, that obviously, the governor always, if McConnell leaves tomorrow, the governor of Kentucky would announce his replacement, and they're trying to pass a bill that the governor wouldn't pick it. It would be the state legislator that would.
I thought that was a former law, though. I thought that was really sad.
That's what, again, that's why they're trying to do this kind of, that, hey, strike it down if we can't do it this way. And apparently, since they have a supermajority, they're able to. There was a long explanation in the tweet that had kind of explained it a bit more, but that was kind of the thought process on what was, coming down the pike, I guess, as far as McConnell, what was coming out of McConnell's office recently.
Apparently,
we know who's moving to Kentucky now, Bork, and running for Rod Blagojevich.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Apparently, the bill is being referred to by Democrats in the Kentucky legislature as the Daniel Cameron election bill.
Yeah. Is that one of the guys that's on the handpicked list? It probably
he's
yeah.
he's the attorney general, the
Mhm.
African American attorney general that spoke at the RNC.
Mhm.
So I mean, makes sense. I guess some other Kelly Craft, I guess, is another person whose husband's like a billionaire coal dude that donates to McConnell a lot.
Yep. That sounds right. I knew one of them was like the wife or a relative of a big donor for McConnell, and then the other one I think was like a Kentucky state senator who worked on McConnell's staff or something like that. But I don't know. I mean, Joe, you're right. Like, why wouldn't he just serve out his entire term? I mean, just to get some new blood in the game, because I mean, he just gets. It's all just for the power for him at this point, and if he gets to be a kingmaker in the Republican Party from like the establishment end, depending on how well that survives Trump, then I don't know. I think he'd be probably fine with that.
Yeah.
Because he'll leave. I mean, because Paul Ryan left, and you haven't really heard a ton from him. And then John Boehner left, and he's kind of all but, I don't know, shunned the Republican Party, most of the major officials in the Republican Party at least. So yeah, he'll probably leave and be, one of the more serious, I don't know. Yeah, just kingmakers of the establishment wing, I would think.
Right.
Just so much ridiculousness, man. Like,
yeah, but how far that gets you without, Trump's base is also another question.
True. What's going on Fox News right now?
A whole bunch of lying.
You say a whole bunch of whining.
Lying.
Oh.
Lying. Cancel culture, man.
I about lost my mind looking at the Mr. Potato Head stuff.
Oh my God.
So get me right. They just said that Mr. Potato Head just is going to be gender neutral.
Yeah, it's just going to be Potato Head.
So yeah, there's like the general brand Potato Head now. And like the branches from that, there's Mr. Potato Head, the Potato Head with, the guy parts. There's the Potato Head, Mrs. Potato Head.
He has a mustache.
With the with the dress and the lipstick lips, and then I think I saw that there was a baby Spud too. So like, I mean,
I don't know why that hits me so funny.
No, I thought that just was funny to hear.
So I'm in my mind. In my mind, right away when I saw it, I thought of the hilarity of what a Mr. Potato Head little piece thing of Potato Head dick and put it on his nose. How funny that would be. Like that's like, okay, so we're gonna make these anatomically correct as like actually a Mr. Potato Head, not just like, I don't know. The fact that people got mad about that, it's just nice to know that we're back in those times again where, we can get mad about really stupid stuff like Christmas and all the fun stuff.
Fucking Dr. Seuss, man.
Yeah. So just wait till people are actually back on campus and like someone isn't able to speak somewhere and we can talk about that cancel culture again and
oh yeah,
how terrible that is.
Well, let's talk about cancel culture, but before we do that, let's I guess what part of the Biden Neanderthal comment thing was
let's pause for an advertisement.
I guess Governor Abbott of Texas was like, he's blaming he's blaming immigrants for exposing Texans to COVID-19, but he's like made it more difficult for immigrants to get the COVID vaccine. Like what? Like I don't understand. Like
Oh, I mean, yeah, of course.
I mean, on brand for sure, but
Of course, yeah. Well, they don't. Those people don't. That would be giving them like a free something.
lunch. That's a free lunch.
That's not. You would be taking that and giving it. From an American, someone who's actually paid for that shot ostensibly. And instead of giving it to, I mean, it's the same logic that goes on here pretty much in Iowa, why people that are working at the meatpacking plants weren't on the list of like the first people to get the shots. Why? They work in, like probably the worst conditions. Like I mean, it's tough to get worse than actually like being in the healthcare field and working with people that have COVID, but I mean, working in a meatpacking plant and like for like Tyson and stuff like that, like that's obviously going to be nightmare conditions too for a virus that spreads like COVID. So I mean, the same logic applies there, and that's how many people has that probably killed in rural areas that you wouldn't think of that. Immigrants would get hammered in by those kinds of policies, like, oh yeah, Texas, of course, given Abbott and the Republican Party there.
Right. Yeah, so
fucking jackasses.
Dr. Seuss, huh?
Another fucking thing. Hey, he got dispublished.
He dispublished, yeah. I mean, the people losing their minds about this, like, you can still get Green Eggs and Ham and Cat in the Hat and the Lorax and all, like, you just aren't going to be able to buy, well, at least easily access the books where he has, caricatures with some pretty thick racial undertones. Like, I don't get it. I don't get why anybody would care. I don't get why anybody's upset by this.
Because it's something that identifies with old, racist America. I mean, but you hate to like throw that like out because I'm not calling not everybody defending this is racist, but like everybody that's defending this is okay with racism occurring. Like you can't tell me that there's what where Dr. talks about Chinamen, which is already an offensive, term. And this same caricature is running around with chopsticks and a bowl of rice.
Yeah,
like that's blatant racism. Like that's blatantly racist.
I mean, like to be clear, like is anybody shocked he's a white dude that was born in 1904? Like, duh. Yeah. Like
throwing shame on him at all. Like, but
right.
Well, we should be, but I mean, literally, we're talking about books where like racist undertone like characters are being prodded in front of kids. Like, yes.
I mean,
just based on what I read, albeit from like the Wikipedia, is like it's like acknowledged that yeah, he did hold those views, and then like later was like yeah, that was pretty messed up. Like, does that like redeem those pictures at all? No, but like
this is something he would almost want.
Right, yeah. Like he would recognize that, like, hey, like these like probably aren't giving people the best,
right?
Depiction of other people's that like experience still to this day experience levels of discrimination based on a million different things. So like, hey, like if there's one. if I can make it like just marginally more tolerable in society for these people, then yeah, sure, like let's do that.
Yeah, I mean, here,
Like, why is that? Why? Yeah, you're right. Like, why is that like controversial?
here's the thing I don't understand. It breeds its own like little culture in like white America, because for the general speaking, like whites mate with whites, ethnic, marriages and couples and everything. But could you imagine, like, if you had an Asian significant other and you had a kid and like you're reading this freaking like children's novel to this kid, and this kid sees somebody that looks like him and it's going around in this ridiculous amplified caricature that's not supposed to be taken seriously, basically meant to be made fun of. Like this is a fucking children's book. Like, even to the degree, it's a children's book. Like, why would this even be acceptable 40 years ago? And now, when his own family discontinues the publishing, people are pissed off. Like, shut up.
Well, it's not even necessarily that.
Be upset about.
It's not even necessarily that. It's the, someone like you or me when we would be young seeing something like that. And then like, so like we obviously didn't grow up with a ton of interaction with people that were different than us. So like, if those are the limited interpretations of, Asian people or African American, whatever it is, and those are a certain way, then that could potentially be, I'm not saying it is for everybody, but it could potentially be problematic for, a number of different reasons. So that's another reason why, like, that, just because that imagery doesn't necessarily offend like one person, it's like what another person could potentially interpret from that. I'm not saying that there's any sort of universal thing, and like I understand that that's like, I don't know, the kind of at the heart of like that kind of cancel culture, but like really what is going on in like 99% of these cases, I would say. Like the only absurd case of like quote unquote cancel culture is the renaming of a school like Abraham Middle School or something like that, like California. That to me that seems a bit, and like I've been saying that's like this kind of like cancel culture that could just be zealous, and and that's always possible too.
Yeah,
you just shouldn't name buildings after people because for this reason. But that's a side point, an opinion of mine. But like, that seems to me like the real toxic cancel culture to me is like I don't know, the true witch hunts that exist to keep out certain like views within, I don't know, like academia. And I know every conservative's ear is going to pop up and say that like, oh yeah, conservative voices are really, really, really stifled in academia. And I hate to say like, that's just not true. Like it just isn't. But that to be said, there are a lot of views, I think, that are actually pretty stifled. Like if you see Cornel West's kind of tenure battle going on with Harvard, you get a little glimpse of it. And you see Iowa is now currently trying to do away with tenure for professors for this reason also too, so they can control what kind of speech goes on at campuses. And you can only imagine what Iowa's current legislature thinks are as acceptable speech that should be going on campuses. So we could be heading towards a real interesting period, I think, if this really does become like what it seems to be like the GOP's new war of every election is now cancel culture. And
right.
it literally is just cultural battles.
Well, I mean, I think there's attacks from like even our point of view, like of appropriation, cancel culture. That's a little ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
and I mean, I can accept that, and we can talk about that. But like, I mean, I guess I can relate. Or like, well, I was exposed to people being upset when they took Chief Alinowick away from Illinois. Chief Alinowick's only purpose during a game was to come out and do a very stereotypical Indian dance with a big headdress on, and just absolutely ridiculous. When we look back at it, that this was only happening like 10 years ago, like that makes sense. Like, hey, get rid of this bullshit. Like the Redskins, like nobody would put up with like if you went on to like a Native American like reservation and like started calling them Redskins, like nobody would put up with that. Why are we putting up with a fucking football team being named the Redskins? Like,
I mean, just like intellectually, how stupid is it that we have a professional baseball team that is depicting African Americans and they're called the Indians? Like, we've known for hundreds of fucking years that they're not from India. Like, holy shit. Like, you're just stupid when you say it. Like, you just sound really dumb. Like, they're not Indians. They're Native Americans. Like,
he's a red man with a freaking feather in the back.
Yeah, red is Clifford the Big Red Dog. Like, it's so ridiculous. That's like, did you see a couple years ago, Bomani Jones, like, caused a big stir on ESPN because he wore a Cleveland Indians t-shirt, but it was the picture of the skin tone was changed to white, and it just said, instead of Indians, it said Caucasians over the top of it. And people were getting so bent out of shape about it. He's like, why? What's the problem? Like, I mean, like, if it's okay to have that, why can't I wear this?
Well, let's mind you that, I mean, I know in my lifetime, I don't know exactly what years and days you guys were born in, but in my lifetime in the early 90s, Pekin, Illinois, the nickname of their high school athletics teams were the Chinks.
Jesus.
Like, Jesus Christ. Like, yes, we need to move on from this shit. And, like, if I need to call the Washington football team, good. Like, for so many people that, like, I guess and I said to you guys earlier, my relation would be, like, to COVID. Like, for so many people that said, hey, if you don't like it, stay away, and we're for the free market, and then the free market and these teams move away from this, and then everyone's upset. Well, everybody loves the free market until, other fucking places make decisions they don't like, and now all of a sudden it's a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm going to get that.
I love the $sign. Like, instead of like the feathers, it's just $sign. It's so ridiculous. Oh my God.
Yeah, it is just such a weird thing to get mad about for some people. Like just get rid of it.
Like, I can understand, like, I disagree with it, but I can understand why somebody would be like, I can wrap my head around why somebody would be like, why are we getting rid of Christmas? Merry Christmas on, like, I get it. Like, I think it's wrong. They're wrong. It's not a big deal, but like I can understand why somebody would be upset about it. Like, something like this, like the Dr. Seuss stuff. Like, why would you ever be upset by this? It doesn't make any sense.
Here's the thing. Let's put it on the reverse. Why would you ever be okay with that? Like, stop trying to make them make the decision. Here, let's just put it out there. Why are you even okay with that?
Yeah. Well, and then the response from so many people is, you didn't even know this was a thing. Like, until this was in the news recently, I had no idea these things existed. And they're like, you didn't even know until this became a big deal. I'm like, yeah, but I know now. And now that I'm aware of it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's not okay. Like, that's not cool. Like, like this isn't difficult.
Here's the end result. For most people, I'm not even judging them. I'm just saying, hey, this is wrong. Let's change this. And if you want to get mad about it, that's on you. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, you think less of me because I think something, fine. But like, if you're mad about this, that's a you problem. That's not my fucking problem.
Yeah. It's just like, and then while this is all happening, running parallel to it at the exact same time, while all these people are like railing against cancel culture, Donald Trump's at CPAC talking about all the Republicans he wants to cancel because they didn't like him or didn't support him. It's so ridiculous.
Not only that, they actually had to ask someone not to come to CPAC for their views. So
no way.
Yeah, who was it? It was,
it was some guy who was like a Nazi, but yeah. So hey, be careful where you throw the stones. That's all I have to say about that.
Hey, here's the thing. Maybe this is a fucking self-reflection moment. If you're fucking getting somebody that wants to come and speak to people that he thinks he can get on his side, and he's a Nazi, maybe that's a you problem.
I mean, yeah, it's sort of. Also, did you see at CPAC the stage?
I saw that it was in like someone. What was it? Someone held it up to like an image of something else, and it was like a symbol of some like
Nazi,
like an SS division or something like that.
So,
like that's just
to be fair. The stage,
the freaking internet,
the stage company that like set everything up, like they've done events for Democrats and stuff too. So it's not like they're just these like, but it was just the irony of like, having this stage set up, and they said they had no idea that it was a Nazi symbol, which I believe them. Like I'm sure they didn't, otherwise they wouldn't have done it. But it's just like, this is the irony of it, just the funniness of wow, really fuck that up.
They didn't go full like swastika or like skull and crossbones. So like, okay, yeah, like there are some things that are pretty much like, okay, this is still pretty ubiquitous to anything at this point.
My favorite thing from CPAC was freaking Donald Trump Jr., who should be loved by just about everybody in that room because they're scared to death of him and his father. But he walks on and he says, yeah, they call it CPAC. Maybe they're going to call it TPAC. And the room was dead fucking silent. Like, absolutely silent.
And what does that mean?
Trump.
Oh, God.
TPAC stands for, but I'm assuming one of the for conservative, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So he's replaced with Trump as TPAC. Dead silence. And then he fucking does the worst thing imaginable for anybody that's trying to do something funny and fails the first time. He tried it the second time.
Jesus. Yeah, so
please clap.
Instead of the conservative political action conference, the Trump, I mean, Jesus, like wah, wah, wah.
Isn't it sad that like Donald Trump gives like bears 4 or 5 children that have like even less personable skills than he does?
Yeah, I mean,
Donald had at least he was born into the money, but he had to create the TV personality.
Yeah,
and then the kids were just born into the personality, and the money, and never had to really, other than Ivanka for like looking good. Like none of them really had to.
Have you ever heard her talk? Oh my god, it's like listening to a wall with lips.
I can't say I have. Well, I think I have heard her talk a couple of times.
I mean, I don't think she's that bad. I mean,
yeah. I mean, she just doesn't have like that impressive of like a profile.
No,
none of the kids really do.
No.
And obviously Trump himself doesn't. Like he just, he is just the original, like the OG showman, like none of the stepped on stuff. Like he's the pure showman. So you get all the good hits from him. Whereas, his kids are just, mere shadows
there.
Yeah. See, yeah. Don Jr. bombed badly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks, John, for the comment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this several times before, but like, he's gonna run again, isn't he? Like,
100%.
Especially after that. After listening to him talk at CPAC, like
Did you see the photo of him though? Like the golfing photo of him?
No, is he?
He looked like crap.
Well, I mean,
yeah, he looked a man of his age finally. Like he was looking pretty. He looked pretty pasty, and I don't know. He had a lot of Band-Aids on. He had like a Band-Aid on his arm and a Band-Aid on his finger. He just did not look very good in the photo. He was all smiles though. But I mean, you'd almost have to guess he's going to run again. He was on top of the CPAC straw poll or whatever. Him and like DeSantis.
Well, to be fair, that's a little bit of a rigged freaking thing to put DeSantis there because he's actually from Florida.
Mm-hmm. True.
do you think I could, Joe? Do you think I could beat Trump at golf?
No, I might not be able to. He's a good golfer.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, this says that
he does this golf. What are you talking about?
He cheats a lot, but like if you don't fucking call him out on his cheating, which neither of us would have the balls to do if we played with him.
Oh, I mean, what do I have to lose?
You would not call him out.
Yeah, why not? I mean, if
you would,
I mean, the scenario that would have to transpire for me to actually be golfing with him, like, fuck it. Like, but there's this article from June 2011 that says, despite making more than 150 visits to his golf courses since taking office, Trump has logged only one round in the online USGA handicap index, and it was a 96.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
you want to lower the handicap, dude.
I mean, I feel like a 96 at his courses is probably fairly. I mean, I probably wouldn't be able to shoot a 96 at one of his courses, I would guess. So, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I could, but I don't know. I wouldn't have the balls to fucking call him out.
He's a large man.
He is a large man.
I bet he can whack a golf ball pretty good.
Of course. I can't be calling anybody a large man.
I mean, the fact that he's a registered 2.8.
What?
The fact that he's a registered 2.8 handicap is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, that sounds a little low.
I mean,
that's a pretty good handicap to be shooting a 96.
Oh my god.
Fucking people. God. We could have a whole fucking segment about people cheating fucking handicaps.
Still a little bitter, huh?
With you?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's the least of my worries. But you, I can't even say this for him.
Yes. The answer to that question was yes.
You're such a fucking deep.
I think he's done with his high school sports now, so I don't think it matters. But, yeah.
I mean, gambling with no.
Oh fuck. What else? What else is going on lately?
I don't know. What else did you type?
I feel like sports is, or not sports.
Sports are. Can't have sports and have is after it.
True. Well, yeah. What I meant to say was I feel like politics. Things are just gotten like I haven't been paying as much attention, mainly because I'm not at work very much, and that's where I watch most of my news. But I mean, I just always have the news pulled up.
What a great place to work. Hey, you know what I do at work? I watch the news.
I mean, I just always have the news pulled up while I'm working. I'm always listening to it.
Good thing I never get distracted with like Facebook Messenger or text messages at work.
See, yeah, I can't access Facebook. Well, I probably could, but I don't.
Yeah, that would be for the best.
Yeah. But
well, me and Joe had a fun talk today about the Democrats paring down the stimulus bill, the COVID bill.
Yeah, what do they kind of I mean, besides minimum wage, what do they just kind
of they shrunk the availability of the caps on the checks.
They lowered it from 100.
They lowered it.
They lowered it from 1,000 to 80,000, didn't they?
Yeah.
Wait, say that again? Sorry.
After 80,000, you're completely phased out of the $1,400 check.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh. That sucks.
So yeah, between that and then like the minimum wage falling to the wayside on the call of the parliamentarian, and then like all the back and forth that's gone on. Like, well, actually, Kamala could probably, she couldn't just include it and say fuck the bird rule on what you can include in reconciliation. That's one thing that's been said. Like, to another thing that they were considering doing, but like fell through just because there wasn't enough time, was that they were going to raise taxes on companies that weren't paying, like the big companies that weren't paying employees at least a $15 minimum wage, but that ended up falling through pretty late. So I don't know. There's been some weird, horse trading in the wrong direction, it seems like, for God knows what reason, considering that it is just going to be the Democrats that put it through one way or the other. So
I had no idea that like the bird rule isn't like. I was under the assumption that if the Senate parliamentarian said, yeah, this doesn't qualify or this doesn't meet the criteria, that it just couldn't be. But apparently they can just say, too bad, we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah. Or the Senate parliamentarian has a change of heart at some point at the prospect of there being a new Senate parliamentarian. Like, oh, yeah, we actually looked at this again, and sure as shit, yep, we can include that in there. But, that kind of pressure, at least from what it's being said from, like, everybody wasn't pursued, and the White House also doesn't appear to have pursued. Like the White House appears to have okayed the cuts at the behest of the more moderates in the Democratic wing, which, again, to me, seems really weird in those districts, because if you're really in a swing area, then you would want to deliver the most aid you possibly could to as many people in your area as you could. And not, oh, well, hey, I didn't get you what you needed, but, we kept it under X amount of dollars for you. So thank us for that. It just seems seems like bad politics.
Yeah. No, I think what the last couple of years have proven is you have to excite your base for an election. Well, I don't think heeding to Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema are going to do all that much. But then again, I can see the pressure with the fact that, this is your number one agenda, is getting COVID relief. So, putting that on the wayside until you can get 2 new people, it's kind of tough. But it's a tough situation, but I think, Bork, you do have a point of saying you could have waited it out just a little longer.
I mean, I don't even know if waiting it out is the right thing to do necessarily, but I mean, exert some pressure on these people. Like, come out explicitly come out and say that, like, the White House is now running a pressure campaign against these people, and, like, okay, I guess these people are just going to be getting primary challenges, and, like, if they're going to really sideline the Democrats' agenda to, win X favors for them when they're going to hold back aid for millions of Americans, then yeah, I mean, that's, these people are communications people. They get paid infinite amounts of money, more than I could imagine, to come up with strategies like that. So if, like, they want to, they know all the buttons to push on people to really make things hurt. Like, okay, well, I guess you better have a good ground game because you're now cut off from the DCCC funds. I mean, and that, again, another thing that you could potentially do if you're really serious about getting some of these things done, and you want some party discipline with, your members.
Yeah,
because ostensibly they ran on a $15 minimum wage, and I understand the want of, hey, we want to do this, legislation bipartisan. Well, that's just not going to happen,
right?
We've already done, like, they've already demonstrated that that's just not going to happen. Like, you are going to have to pass things like you have to get rid of the filibuster, and you're gonna have to pass things on the 50, the 50 and the Kamala tiebreaker, like everything. If you want to have an agenda to run on in 2022, that doesn't just come from the things that you're able to pass in budget reconciliation.
Yeah.
And it seems like more people are realizing that, because I'm pretty sure I saw fucking Klobuchar today say that if the filibuster's got to go, it has to go.
Hey,
so I mean, that's like the more people that realize that, and the more like, because once the filibuster goes, you can start talking about the fun stuff like, okay, DC's a state and now Puerto Rico's a state. And then things can get really interesting, but those only happen if, you're really and you're right. Manchin and apparently cinema is going to be the wall that's going to bottleneck all of the good stuff that needs to be done if the Democrats want to win. Or can want to secure a win from here. They can't win, but it's going to be tough to win if they've promised to, address a lot of different things, and it just seems like the economy is just I don't think they'll get the same thing will happen, but I don't think they'll win the White House again because they won't have Obama at the top of the ticket.
Yeah, well, I think you hit it on the head there. Like, if Democrats want to start playing the ball game that Republicans have been playing, like they've been playing chess while the Democrats have been playing checkers, right? Like they're focused on the courts and just getting as many federal judges, on the bench as they possibly can. Like Democrats can, they can win control with a very narrow margin in the Senate and control the House, and like it's still going to be tooth and nail to get things passed. But you get DC statehood and then Puerto Rico statehood, and that's 4 senators automatically. That's going to shift the balance, on a huge level. Like,
well, I mean, the huge problem is the last time the Democrats have had control in the Senate. The Senate is so. He put his microphone right next to something. The Senate is so skewed against Democrats holding it that, I mean, basically, you need to pick off Senate seats in like weird states like West Virginia and 2 in Arizona, and like at the end of the day, that might happen, but
you
got to understand, to win there consistently, you kind of have to be rung in at times. So it's just a hard balancing act. I mean,
well, but what I'm saying is, first, there's no reason that DC and Puerto Rico shouldn't be states. And the reason, the argument against it being, well, that's going to give 4 Senate seats to Democrats, like that's not a good reason. Like those people deserve the representation. And so, I mean, you don't have to, if that happens, you don't have to play this balancing act nearly. You know what I mean? Like it's the math completely changes. Like you don't have to try.
What's the math on getting statehood? Is it just 50 senators?
No, here I can tell you. It has to be approved by. Let me pull it up here. I used to have it written down actually.
Yeah, it needs. Oh no,
governor. I know the governors have to vote on it. I'm pretty sure, or the states at some point.
I don't know.
I think that's a constitutional convention.
So here we go.
But I don't think the states have to vote on that. I think the legislature just has to let them in.
So the territory holds a referendum. If a majority see a vote to seek statehood, they petition Congress. Then the U.S. Congress, both House and Senate, pass by a simple majority vote a joint resolution. And then the President of the United States signs the joint resolution. The territory is acknowledged. Oh, so I guess.
Yeah. It's a constitutional convention that the states have to vote on whether it's held or not. That's what you were thinking of.
So, like, why aren't they doing this at least for DC? I mean,
because Joe Manchin's already said he's not doing it?
Joe Manchin should not be dictating the agenda. Like,
well, he does. I mean, you can say he shouldn't be, but he does.
No, I know he is, but it's like,
and sending a primary in West Virginia isn't doing anything because then you're just going to lose a seat.
Well, I mean,
Joe Manchin, forever what it's worth, is still an asset to the Democratic Party. Yes, you can put pressure on him, but he's literally right now in the current climate, he's the only Democrat that I know of in West Virginia besides Ojeda that's going to win a statewide election.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but Ojeda's just as conservative as he is.
I mean, and that's how the last time that the DCCC put their weight behind one of those candidates, that needed to be a reliable vote to get Democratic Party priorities across the finish line, and Joe Manchin is proving that he is not able to do that, or is unwilling to do that.
I'm not.
So I mean, that's the problem. This is kind of the fundamental problem with the Democratic Party. Like, you have in their platform promises, or at least goals that they set for themselves. But within the party, there are people that don't just do not vote for those things, period. So you essentially have an ungovernable coalition is what it comes. So if Democrats are ever in power to go on forward with their agenda, what it takes for them to get there leaves them incapable of voting forward that legislation, because the people they have to run in those areas don't run on it. Not that they can't, and I don't agree with that they can't, but they don't. And that's a decision on party strategy / tactics, I think.
I disagree with that, because I think the reason they don't is because they wouldn't win. I don't think you could take Bernie Sanders to West Virginia and win.
I mean, there were a lot of those quote unquote more center candidates that ran against a lot of red district Republicans and lost too. So, I mean, you could say just as much.
I agree. And that's
all you really know of is that the policies that the Democrats at least run on their platform are fairly popular. I mean, that's all you know. So
yeah, they're popular because they're in big district. They're popular because the popular vote of that issue is agreeable. But I mean, with gerrymandering and different seats that are weighted differently, you got to think about it. You got to think about it. Like 40 million. If we just want to put them in one big pool, 40 million Democrats get 2 senators in
California.
And if you add up every fucking state that goes, Idaho, to
Montana, Wyoming, Dakota,
all those fucking bullshit states, and they have 26 senators for 40 million people.
Bullshit states, he says.
There are bullshit states. Explain to me why we need 2 Dakotas.
No, I mean, it's just the name. It's just the name of them, but they don't each deserve 2 senators. I agree. Yeah.
So here's kind of where the problem with I'm not saying that that's not a problem. Where I think that calling it just that this happens, we have a lot of states that have zero population and vote Republican. They have a disproportionate amount. I'm not saying that that's not a problem. I agree, it is a problem. Trust me, just get rid of the Senate. But that's how I would solve it, but we can't do that.
Jesus Christ.
So I mean, it's fundamentally undemocratic for the reason that you're talking about right now.
100%.
It weighs for very specific reasons land.
I agree.
Crazy why that occurred given America's history, why a really important legislative body would be weighted towards land so heavily, but we'll put that aside. Just like take something like just the checks, like just the checks getting pared down. That is being done to appeal to like the quote unquote right wing of the Democratic Party, correct? Like there's like that's obviously why.
But not only that,
it's for political cover in those districts, so they can say that they gave people less money. But the check issue is universally popular among everyone. Everybody liked the checks. Yeah. That's what I don't understand. Like,
well, in
a policy like that's just so obviously popular, still in the name of.
Oh, I agree.
I don't know exactly why. I don't know exactly why it was done. Personally, no clue. But things like that still happen.
To make that even worse, like kind of just expanding on that is, yeah, it's universally popular, but it's being held up by a group of senators that received millions of, like 12 million less votes than the senators who are in favor of the bill. Like, like it's a 50-50 split, but it's not really 50. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Again, that's another like just how terrible the Senate. Yeah, terrible things like they're obviously just, yeah, just obviously things that shouldn't exist. And like, I mean, and it's why a lot of our, institutions don't function correctly. Is that you have so much power in the hands of like literal tiny minorities of like voters, and fluctuations in their beliefs completely change what's possible in legislative terms.
Yeah, I think I put it on Facebook. It was a quote I heard from somebody, I don't know, somebody on Twitter, but senators coming out and saying we have to respect the sanctity of the Senate. Wow, millions of Americans are just fucking being, smoked by COVID. And that's just like the most on-brand Washington thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, yes, we've got to take ourselves so fucking serious because we don't want the Senate to be a joke. Fuck you, just seriously.
Yeah, I mean,
how I almost want to call it self-unawareness, but like they're aware that saying dumb shit like that's not going to get them freaking unelected.
Yeah, I think Ron Johnson is just seriously just stupid. Like, is just not an intelligent person.
Well,
but
got his seats up in 2 years or a year now.
But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I guess we've been going for about an hour and 10 minutes now, so we could probably wrap it up. But I don't know. That was one of our first episodes, I think, wasn't it? Talking about the like the Electoral College. I mean, that's not exactly what we were just talking about, but just like how the Senate is set up and how doesn't make sense. And
the tertiary syphilis debate.
Yeah, that was. We just came out of the gates hot with that. That's right. Yeah, that was good. That was good stuff.
Proud of you.
Proud of you.
Yeah, I think that was around the time that we were talking about the statues too, having to come down.
Jeez, we covered
and everybody was getting mad about that.
Back to we're come full circle on the cancel culture.
Yeah.
Now we're going after Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
Bullshit fucking politics and cancer culture.
Yep.
Oh man. Well, I mean, I hope for Schmidt's sake we weren't too mean, or being too rude in our live stream this evening. So we'll have to seek out. We'll reach out to him for his approval and see if he was okay with our tone here. But, but yeah. Anybody who watches this after we're done, make sure you guys check out Moose Club Pod on, our social media handles there at the bottom. And then we have some episodes coming out on the Spotify and Apple Podcasts which you can find by searching the Moose Club. So be on the lookout for those, and be on the lookout for our next live stream. So thanks for watching, and you guys have any final thoughts before we sign off? I'll make sure I stop the stream this time.
Stay tuned.
Right.
I think we have a lot of fun times ahead of us.
For sure.
Full circle. Kyle's stupid.
yeah. I'm a dum-dum. So, all right. Thanks for watching.